An alarming new study out today shows that scientists are finding a growing number of microplastics embedded deep in our brains. The Washington Post writes that for this new study by Nature Medicine, scientists analyzed 52 brain specimens, 28 that were autopsied in 2016, 24, and 2024. They found microplastics in every sample, but there were significantly higher numbers in microplastics in those from 2024. In fact, 50% more than in brains analyzed in 2016. I want to bring in MSNBC medical contributor Dr. Vin Gupta. Walk us through this study, Vin. What exactly stands out to you?
Yeah, Chris, we're just beginning to understand the health risks of microplastics, basically very small versions of plastic that shed from bigger plastics that you can see with the human eye, like plastic bags, tires, you name it. And this is concerning. I think this is like a 1950s smoking moment where back then we were just beginning to understand the risks of smoking on the human body. And we're going to look back 30 years and be like, wow, this is really quite something. We're just understanding this. But this study looked at the fact that plastics are going from our blood, microplastics, into brain tissue. And that's not normal. Usually the arteries in our brain are actually really good at keeping things in our blood vessels, not diffusing into the brain tissue around them. So the fact that there's so much, just in the last 10 years, we've seen the doubling in the amount of plastic worldwide. The amount of plastic in autopsies and brains seen in 2024 was almost double than what we saw about 10 years ago in 2016. That should just show if there's greater microplastics, Chris, in the environment around us, there's going to be greater potentially in our organs, especially our vital organs.
Well, I'll be honest with you. This article kind of freaked me out a little bit because not only did they say that there are no control groups, everyone is exposed, but they talked about the particles burrowing deep into the human body, identified in the liver, placenta, blood, testicles, even certain arteries that lead to the heart. But the brain appears to be more susceptible to microplastic than other organs. And what does that mean for our long-term health? I know there have been studies on mice that suggest it could produce symptoms that are consistent with the early signs of Alzheimer's or dementia.
Yeah, that's right. And so, again, we don't know yet. There isn't a clear association yet. But what we're seeing, and we saw this about a year ago with a study on microplastics in the heart, basically that the more we see microplastics accumulating in the arteries around our heart, the greater there is a potential risk for heart attacks. In the brain, potentially strokes or an increased risk of dementia. So this is where it's really vital for everybody. I encourage everybody to take this seriously. I know we have seemingly endless health crises. We could talk about so many different things. This is one thing that will stand the test of time. So if you're watching right now, avoid plastic takeout, those containers to the extent that you can. Some things are not within our control, but try to avoid plastic takeout. Try to avoid heating plastic in a microwave. Absolutely critical. And I know this is an investment, but try to invest in purified water at home. Chris, one of the biggest exposures for microplastics is in the water that we drink. So no more plastic bottles. Invest in that steel water bottle and invest in purified water systems at home. It's worth the investment.
Dr. Vin Gupta, that is such great advice. Most important part of this is just telling people what they can do. Thank you. Always good to have you on the program. And that's going to do it for us this hour. Make sure to join us for Chris Jansing Reports every weekday from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern right here on MSNBC. Our coverage continues with Katie Tur Reports next.